Hey everyone, Alex here from Japanese Masters, and today we're going to go over Minna no Nihongo, Lesson 6, Part 5, that is noun, place, day, verb. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right on into this. Okay, so as we can see here, we have our noun, place, day, and verb. So basically, to translate this into English, this is basically going to be saying that your verb is happening at the noun, at the place. If you remember from a couple of lessons ago, we talked about noun, vehicle, day, verb. And in that instance, the day particle basically meant by means of, or something along those lines. Well, today we're going to be learning a different meaning of the day particle that's basically going to mean at, or in, or on, or something like that. Something that's going to tell you where a verb is going to take place. Let's go ahead and break this down a little bit. So, we'll dive right into the most important part of this, about this, the day. So in this instance, the day is going to be used to say where a verb is going to take place, that at. So like I just said a second ago, if this was a location, then this is going to be at. However, if you want to say like, I went to Tokyo by train, then that is where this could be a vehicle. So if it's a vehicle before the day, then it's going to be by means of. If it's a place before the day, then it's going to mean where a verb took place at. And these are two definitions that might sound very, very different at the beginning, but it's one of those things where they're kind of similar. Because if you remember, the day particle for by means of kind of means where the verb is taking place, because in that instance, you're mostly going to be using verbs like ikimasu, so going somewhere. So if you would say like kuruma de ikimasu, to go by car, you'd be kind of saying that where is the verb taking place? Where is that ikimasu taking place? It's taking place in a car. So that is how you're. So that is where the verb is going to be happening at, is in the car. And in English, we just basically translate that to like by means of, or I went there by car, or something like that. So these two definitions, although they might seem kind of different, are very, very similar. It's just how we decide to translate it in English, how our English language works, that the definitions seem very, very different. Okay, and our verb is just going to be a verb that can have a location. I just put that there in case there are any verbs that can't have a location attached to them, but I'm trying to think and I can't think of any. But if there are, you probably couldn't use this structure with them. And then you have our noun. So this is just going to be a location, like a restaurant, a park, something like that. Okay, let's go ahead and just go through a couple of example sentences to really show what I mean with this. So our first example is, I met my friends in Tokyo. That is, Tokyo de tomodachi ni aimashita. Okay, so we have our structure right here, of course. We have our day. But let's go ahead and go through the rest of the sentence really quickly to make sure you understand that before we go into the grammar point. We have Tokyo here, which of course is the capital of Japan. We have tomodachi, which means friends, and then aimashita. This comes from the verb au, which means to meet. An important note right here is that if you're saying that you're meeting someone, generally when you have this verb au or aimashita, or in whatever form, the people that you're meeting is going to have this ni particle after it. It's not going to have the o particle like you might think it would. The reason that you would put the ni instead of the o really isn't important. It's just one of those things you kind of have to memorize. So if this was like, for say, my wife, kanai, then I would say kanai ni aimashita. I met my wife. So this right here, whatever the people that you want to meet, you want to say people ni aimasu. Okay, but that's just a side note. And then, of course, we have our day here. So this is saying where the event is taking place. So where are you meeting your friends? We are meeting them in Tokyo. And like I said, I know I said right here that this basically means at. If you notice, though, it translates to in this instance. And the reason is the day particle always has the same meaning in Japanese. However, in English, we use different words to basically say that depending on how we translate the sentence. Sometimes we say at, sometimes we say in, sometimes we say on, something like that. So even though the meaning will be the same in Japanese, it's going to be translated as a couple different words in English. Moving on to the next example, we can see that. This time I translated it as the at. Okay, so this sentence is, I will eat at the restaurant. Restaurant de tabemasu. Okay, so to start off here, we have our restaurant, which is the loan word for restaurant. And then we have tabemasu, which of course means to eat. And then we have our day. So where are we eating? We are eating at the restaurant. And like I just said before, this time this gets translated to at, not in, because if you say I will eat in the restaurant, that doesn't sound as natural. It doesn't flow as smoothly. However, it has the same meaning in Japanese. Both this one and this one, both are saying where the verb is going to take place. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the final example. So the final example is I found a ring at the station. That would be, let me put it on the hiragana here. That would be boku wa eki de yubi wa o mitsukemashita. Okay, so we have our boku wa, just means I, and then we have our yubi wa, which that is going to be ring in Japanese, like a ring you put on your finger. And then we have mitsukemashita, which is to find. And then this right here, we actually covered this a couple lessons ago, what the O particle means. And all that's saying is, what is the verb acting on? So what did we find? We found a ring. So this, the de particle here is going to take it one step further. So now we had already learned how to say what the verb is acting on. Now we're learning to say where that verb is taking place at. So like we learned in the last couple lessons, wherever the O particle is, the word behind that is going to be what the verb is acting on. Same thing with de. Whatever is behind that is going to be where the verb is taking place. So we have eki, that is train station. So that's saying, where did we find whatever we found? We found it at the train station because the de comes after the eki, which in our mind, when we're speaking Japanese, tells us that is where the verb is located. That's where the verb occurred at. Okay. So that is going to be the end of today's lesson. I hope it made sense. Basically, you're just going to have to kind of realize that this de particle here has a whole bunch of different meanings in Japanese. If you really kind of analyze it, it's the same meaning. It's just in English, we think about things differently. So it seems like it's a very, very different meanings that this de particle has. But the more you use it, the more natural it will become. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them. Other than that, everyone, keep studying Japanese. All right, see ya.